Whenever you're ready, you can sober up with a statement, and then we'll take questions.
Well, great to have everybody here first and foremost. Really appreciate the turnout today. I know you guys could be doing a lot of other things, so we're grateful for that. Like it or not, we got a game in 2 days, so here we go. It's going to be a big challenge, and I wish we had 2 more weeks instead of 2 more days, but there's certain things that are fixed, right? And this is one of them. That 18-wheeler is going to pull out here shortly and make the 14-and-a-half-hour trip. And we're going to charter fly out tomorrow afternoon. I'll do what I always do. I get on the plane, I introduce myself to the pilots, ask them a little bit about what the flight pattern looks like, and I'll probably give them a tally-ho like I've done every other time, and then sit down, and next thing you know, we'll be in the Twin Cities. So PJ Fleck's done a really, really nice job of building this Minnesota program into a consistent winner. They've had a bunch of winning seasons. I think they've won 6 bowl games during his time there. He's also had some really, really good assistant coaches. He's got a great staff right now. He's had some other guys go through there that have had really, really spectacular careers as assistants. And the thing they all have in common is that they know what he wants. They know the culture. They know the systems. And you'll see that he often promotes from within when he has a guy leave. So that's always a really good reflection on the quality of the people and having those people on the same page. One thing that's very consistent with all of their teams, they play really, really strong defense, and they play very good complementary football in all 3 phases. And while we're certainly not a Big Ten team, and we may be a very different program in some ways, I think that's something that we aspire to as well, to play strong defense and to play complementary football. They're a 4-down defense. They're what we call a bench defense, meaning that their 3-technique defensive tackle is often into the boundary, regardless of the formation. They play a lot of 2-high safeties and then spin down to either man coverage or some kind of 3-deep coverage. So very multiple on the back end. They do a really nice job with their disguises and often try to hold those things late. They bring a lot of pressure on 1st and 2nd down, so they're not a team that's just going to sit back and play base defense on regular downs and then get into exotic stuff on 3rd down. They'll certainly get into some exotic packages like everybody else on 3rd and medium, 3rd and long, but these guys are a high-pressure outfit on base downs. They've got 6 starters back from last year's defense, which put up some really good numbers, 285 yards a game overall, just 109 yards rushing, under 17 points a game. So this is a really strong unit with a lot of guys back. Their safety, Coy Parrish, is, he's a homegrown guy, Minnesota guy, had a great freshman year with 5 interceptions. He's also an outstanding punt returner. They'll play him some on offense as well, but this is the type of guy that I'm sure the fan base really rallies around. He's probably going to be one of these guys that runs for governor of Minnesota someday and maybe have a chance to win it. The middle linebackers are a really good player. Maverick Baranowski. I got to believe this guy's parents were Top Gun fans, right? To name him Maverick. Now, if he's got a good friend named Goose and he's dating a girl named Charlie, I'm going to have to give this guy a hug before the game. Really good player, 65 tackles last year. And then the other safety, Kerry Brown, had 63 tackles. They got both interior D tackles back. They're both 300-pound guys that are very active, play very hard. One of the defensive ends that returns is 280 pounds, so he's going to be a presence on the edge. And the thing to know about this team, but particularly this defense, they do a nice job creating turnovers, and Minnesota was 6-0 last year when they won the turnover battle. So that's going to be a big piece of this game. Talked about complementary football earlier. Their offense is a very methodical offense. It's a ball control type of unit, whether it's running the ball or throwing high percentage passes. You can see their goal is to clearly win the time of possession and stay on the field and keep that defense rested. Last year, they averaged almost 32 minutes of possession a game. They're not afraid to take shots when it's timely. But again, they want to move the chains and be very methodical in their approach. They'll use a lot of shifts and motions, so there's a lot of different looks for our defense to get ready for. And when you're not trying to go fast, it makes sense to shift in motion because you're not lining up and going on a fast tempo all the time where you need to be set for a second. The other thing you'll find unusual about this offense is that they get under center a lot, which is something that other than some teams in short yardage is next to extinct in college football these days. So this is a very proficient offense. They're very, very effective in the red zone. They've got a new quarterback that they're very high on, Drake Lindsay. He appears to be a perfect fit for their system. They've played bigger pro-style quarterbacks, but a couple clips you see him last year running, scrambling. He looks to be pretty athletic during the snaps he got during his redshirt season. Running back Darius Taylor is a big-time back. He's really a challenge to bring down. He's one of the best in the country at yards after contact. They do a nice job getting him the ball between the tackles, but also throwing him the ball, something as simple as a check down where he can catch it, turn, get north and south, and try to split defenders for extra yards. The wide receiver core appears to be deep and athletic. They picked up a couple of really good transfers. Their tight ends are big physical guys, and they become more of a factor in their offense once they get down into the red zone. Their offensive line has got some new faces, so hopefully it's going to take them a little bit of time to gel, but they're going to be 6'5", 6'6" across the board, and that's a really well-coached unit year in and year out at Minnesota. On special teams, they've got a veteran special teams coach that I have a lot of respect for. I've talked a lot of football with him through the years, so I know he does a real high-quality job preparing that unit. They're going to be very sound. They're going to be very tough. They're going to be very, very good in terms of fundamentals, very high effort. All of those things show up on the video, and again, very complimentary to the offense and the defense in terms of what they're trying to do, flipping the field position with those units. I mentioned Parrish. He's a really, really high-end punt returner. You watch some of their games against elite competition last year, and they are creating explosive returns with him on their punt return unit. Occasionally, they'll come after you too, so you've got to make sure that you're not just taking your footwork and getting out. You've got to hang in there and make sure you're sound in protection because they do mix in just enough blocks to keep you honest. Their punt unit is very similar to ours in terms of being multiple in launch points and blocking schemes and formations. So there's a lot to prepare for there. They do a lot to keep you guessing. Rutgers was able to get a hand on one last year, but other than that, they got through the season without any punts blocked. They will have a new punter who comes in from UCLA, who had a good season there last year. And their kicker is a transfer from Syracuse, where he had a pre-existing relationship with the special teams coordinator. So I assume there's a lot of comfort there with him coming in. He's got a strong leg, and he hits a lot of touchbacks on kickoffs. So kickoff return opportunities could be limited in this game. And they play a lot of really, really physical cover guys on that unit. Their kickoff return is a mix of boundary and field returns, complementary type returns. They'll often try to create a double team at the point of attack. So in all three phases, this is going to be a really, really big test for our team. We're excited, like everybody else, to get the season started. We put in a lot of good work this summer, this preseason, and now we're at the point where we're just really, really anxious to line up and play somebody in different color uniforms. So with that said, I'll open it up for your questions.
Going to be your starting quarterback.
He will be.
What has he done to prepare for this opportunity?
You know what? He has handled himself like a pro since the day he's got here. He understands the commitment that needs to be made to play that position and to give yourself a chance to be successful. I like the way that he's acclimated himself with his teammates. It feels like he's been here a lot longer than 8 months at this point. So that part of it has been a very, very smooth transition for everybody. And the fact that he's around the building a lot. You know, we have our countable stuff that we do, but I've never seen a good quarterback that doesn't just wander into the meeting room and sit there on his own by himself and just review concepts, review opponent video, review the game plan, and those are things that TQ has done religiously since he's been here. So you feel good when somebody has that kind of commitment level. He's also very grounded. There's no big ego there. You can coach him hard. He'll take ownership. He'll take responsibility. He supports his teammates well. He supports the other guys on the offense. He's not afraid to say, I need to do something better. And he's also not afraid to challenge a teammate to do something better. So those sort of fundamentals of the position are in place. And now you hope that he can perform like a veteran and step in there and play with a high level of efficiency.
And
How do you
that
think
kind of leads into my next question is, he hasn't been a full-time starter in a couple of years since he was at UConn. What does he have to do to get game acclimated once he gets on the field at Minnesota?
Well, we try to make practices replicate games as much as we can. So that's part of it. We've done a lot of situational football this preseason to try to put the quarterback under pressure, to try to put different players under pressure, to put our specialists under pressure. So I feel like we've done as much as we can going back to the spring and certainly during preseason to challenge him. Nothing replicates actually going out there Thursday night. But at least he has played in games before. He was just joking with me the other day. I showed some clips of Memphis against Penn State in the Cotton Bowl a few years ago. And, we've talked about a lot of things since he's been here. But he came up to me after the meeting. He's like, Coach, I was on that other sideline for that game. And I'm like, man, you're old. I hadn't thought about that, but I guess that does time up. So fortunately, he's been around the block a couple times, and hopefully that will carry over to Thursday night.
How do you think that being around Big Ten, Big 12 football in his past helps him in this opportunity and helps him lead your other players into this stadium?
Well, I'll just say this. Football is football, and sure, it's a bigger stadium and a bigger crowd, but we've got a lot of guys back on this team that were at Missouri last year, or I think it was Wisconsin the year before, whoever they played the year before and the year before that. So, that's one thing you hope when you have a lot of guys back, that you've got a mentality that we've been there, done that, and you're going to go out there and, be excited to play, but not be overly emotional. And I think there's a big difference between energy and emotion, right? And you want to have great focus and great energy. You don't want to get overly emotional where it ends up being some kind of roller coaster ride throughout the game. So that's what mature teams do. That's what veteran teams do. That's what focused teams do. And that'll be the challenge for this team, whether we're talking about the quarterback or anybody else on the field.
Hey, Pete, I think a MAC team has beaten a Big Ten team 16 of the last 18 years. I think you're actually responsible for a couple of those if we go back. What's the formula? What has to happen for that kind of an upset, which has happened somewhat consistently for this conference, to happen for you Thursday?
Don't beat yourself. I think back to the wins we had at Ball State over Indiana, and the first one was about the most uneventful game you could have ever imagined, other than the fact that it was a tremendous crowd in Lucas Oil Stadium. It was actually a home game for us that we decided to play at Lucas Oil to try to maximize the crowd, and it was probably 2/3 to 3/4 Indiana fans, as you would imagine. But when I reflect back on that game, that was our first game at Ball State as a coaching staff, and we only had 2 or 3 penalties in the game. We didn't turn the ball over. We didn't give up explosive plays. We made a couple plays, and lo and behold, we pull off a huge upset. The next game against Indiana that we beat was a little bit more of a wild, back-and-forth, high-scoring affair, but we did kick a field goal coming off a 2-minute drill as time expired to win that game, and that brings up another really good point: situational football. There's going to be things that pop up in games once or twice or 3 times a year that you have to be able to go out and be on the same page and execute at a high level. And I remember Keith Wenning throwing a pass to Willie Snead getting out of bounds, getting us in field goal range, the field goal unit going out and executing against Indiana's must block at the end of the game. And those are the types of things that build memories that last a lifetime, right? So to win a game like this, sometimes it's doing nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary, just not having the self-inflicted wounds, the procedure penalties that put you off schedule and put you into 1st and 15 or make a 3rd and medium, a 3rd and long. Those are the things that will end up coming back to haunt you on a Sunday morning when you're watching the film. But if you can stay on schedule and not turn the ball over and punt when you're supposed to punt and flip the field position when you're supposed to flip the field position, all of a sudden at the end of the day, you're in a close game and you've got a chance to win it.
What are you looking for from the leaders of this team, whether it's Red and Kobe on one side, whether it's TQ, somebody on the offensive side of the ball? Is it something, that permeates from the bench, or does it need to be that first impact on the field that gets you guys started off on the right foot this season?
Yeah, I think it's more about every day and everything we do all the time. Yes, you prepare most of the year, right? These guys get very little time off. It's a huge commitment, and we expect a lot of them in terms of what they're doing and how they're doing it to prepare for these 12 opportunities. But we also talk about nameless, faceless opponents and doing what we do and doing it our way. And so you hope that when you get to your first game and your second game and your third game and so on, that you know exactly who's going to show up and how they're going to perform because you've seen the same guy every day. And so, yes, this was a quote-unquote Thursday practice because we play in two days, and I'm running around and being my normal demanding self out there and everything. But you make those things challenging so that hopefully on game day it's not a whole lot different than any other day of the week.
Pete, when it comes to the attention to detail and the discipline of where your team is right now heading into the first week of the season, how do you assess that? Is that where you want it to be right now?
It's never where I want it to be, ever. You always have new pieces in place. You've got new coaches, you've got new support staff, you've got new players in key roles. And, I always walk off the field and say, I should have done this better. I should have done that better. I could have been more thorough covering this or that. So it's always a work in progress. But ultimately, the rubber's going to hit the road here in a little over 48 hours. And I do believe in the people we have. And, it starts with me and being at my best, which I'm constantly trying to do. Never quite there, but working at it. And then hopefully everybody else will be at their best.
Coach,
What's
you've
your
mentioned a few
outlook for
times
Nick
how
McMillan?
quickly this game is approaching. What's, I guess, maybe the flip of the switch in terms of a sense of urgency? Because you have this long ramp up over the off season and fall camp for this first game. Then all of a sudden it's here and it's not even on Saturday, it's on Thursday. What's the change in the sense of urgency that you're trying to convey to your team this week?
Yeah, I think that the sense of urgency, again, is one of those constants. Whether it's spring practice 9 or summer workout 15 or preseason practice 12, to me there's always a sense of urgency because you have finite opportunities to get yourself ready, and there are no preseason games in college football. There's no, inter-squad, or scrimmages against other people. So you gotta come out in your first game and play a very, very clean game, whether you're playing an FCS opponent at home like we did last year, or you're going on the road to play a Power 4 opponent. So there's always a sense of urgency the way we operate around here every day because everything matters and everyone matters. So hopefully that'll be no different when Thursday night rolls around. I'm sorry, Rachel, you had something.
What's your outlook for Nick McMillan this season? He's kind of been snake bitten the last couple of years with injuries, but what's going to be his role and his path this year?
So Nick's one of our starting receivers. He was last year before his season got cut short with the knee injury at Missouri. He's bounced back extremely well. He was running really, really well in the spring, but we were very patient in terms of his return to play, just making sure that he was 1,000% ready to go. He started doing more and more and more in the summertime. We've been conscientious about his player loads. Those GPSs are very helpful when you have a guy who's coming back from an injury because you can really measure how much load he's doing every day. You can notice if there's any imbalances from one leg to the other and all those types of details that Coach Horton and his staff do such a great job of. So Nick's done extremely well bouncing back, and he's really been doing everything. So we're looking forward to a very productive season from him, and he's going to have to get back into the flow of games after being out for a long time, but I believe he's confident and prepared, and we expect big things from him this season.
Is he eager? Have you had to kind of rein in over eager with him, or does he understand the process, like you said, being conscientious?
I was referring to being the same guy every day, and I really believe that Nick is. He's very consistent in his approach, and just like anybody else, there's been times that we've had to push him. There's been times that we've had to back off and say, Nick, you took a lot of reps yesterday and the day before, and we want to make sure that you're fresh for the game or for an upcoming heavier practice. So he's been very good in understanding all those things, and that's also allowed us to continue to try to enhance our depth at receiver.
You have co-starters listed at 3 of the 4 secondary spots.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really see that anywhere else in the depth chart. How unsettled is that position group, and kind of how would you assess that?
I would say that we're trying to encourage competition right up through kickoff everywhere across the board, but especially back there. We've got more options back there than we did a year ago. We've got nice depth there, and that's comforting going into the season because we know we've got to get better there. We know we've got to do a better job defending the pass, giving up less explosive plays. So we've got a nice mix of some guys that have played a lot of football, but also some new players that have not played as much but have shown a lot of promise in practice. And to me, that's the best way to get the best out of everybody when they understand that there are other good players at my position, and I have to be at my very best. Otherwise, those guys are going to deserve an opportunity to play as well.
Will Minnesota put you in a lot of dime packages and need those guys on the field together?
We've got to get them in position where we can put ourselves in the dime packages. So that means you're getting them into third and longs, and that would be wonderful if we could be calling a lot of dime. What they're trying to do is to get it to third and short so that they can stay and continue to do what they do. And so that's that's going to be a function of what we do on first down and second down.
So can I ask one more? What might be the differences or unique challenges in playing an opponent like this in week 1 as compared to last year? You had the home game against the FCS opponent, then went to Missouri in week 2.
I don't really worry about it all that much because you play the hand you're dealt. And we were nervous about Lafayette coming in here last year. UB had struggled against FCS teams, and Lafayette had gone 9-3 and won their conference and almost won an FCS playoff game. And I've spent a good bit of my career at schools like that and know how well coached and how talented those teams are. That was a veteran team that came in here believing they could beat us. So however the schedule plays out, there's always big challenges, and you just have to make sure you're ready to roll regardless.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thanks again. Okay.